Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of DIY Friday with off-access builds. I got a washing machine issue. It's making this loud crunching noise. Did a little research on it, found out it was the transmission. Who knew that washing machines actually had a transmission, right? Well, this one does. It's located underneath the barrel, okay? What we're going to be doing today is removing that transmission and replacing it with a new one, okay? So the reason why I'm replacing it is it will not shift into the next gear without making a loud crunching noise, or just won't shift. So let's get tearing into it, guys. Remember to always like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell for upcoming notifications. Any help helps my channel, and remember there's a link down below for some merch. Got hats, masks, sweatshirts, shirts, got a whole bunch of cool stuff, so go check that out. All right, guys, let's get into it. So this is a Whirlpool washer, okay? I've had it for maybe 2 years now. Started having issues within the first year of owning it. Not the best washer. Definitely is, or was, one of the cheapest on the market when we got it. So lesson learned, guys. When you go with the cheapest, you're probably gonna be doing some work to it. But that's just, you know, the nature of the game, right? So this is model WTW 5000DW1, okay? What we're going to be doing today is removing all of this so we can get to one nut in there. That one nut attaches to this barrel, okay? There's a whole gear in there as well that sticks up, and then the nut sits on top of the gear, or I guess shaft. Not really a gear, it's more of a shaft. So anyways, what we're going to be doing is removing that, okay, and then we're going to be tilting the whole unit over and removing all of the guts from below. I have other videos on how to replace some of those other parts, so you should go ahead and check those out if you need to replace those guys. Alright guys, so this is the transmission we're going to be replacing today. And in the video I'll show you the exact order and removing pieces. First you're going to start inside the can. There's a plastic cover. You're going to take that off. And then there's a whole plastic gear in there. You can take the little plastic piece out. I guess the plastic lock of some sort. And then there's 6 Phillips bolts, okay? Underneath, you're going to need to flip the unit over on its side. And in the video, I'll show you that. You're going to be removing the motor, the pulley, the belt, okay? You're going to be removing the resistor and the shifter switch. Okay, and then there's 4 bolts that hold this thing on. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out the video, and I'll walk you through on how to remove this transmission and how to replace it. Okay. Okay. So all right, guys. So the first thing you want to do before you even touch anything on this machine, you want to unplug the machine from the wall. You're going to want to remove this little cap. Safety first, guys. Unplug it. Make sure that you have no power going to the unit. Before you touch it. That's with any appliance. You want to unplug anything wrench, or in this case, I'm using before you start the work. Okay. So. Okay. Now, in some cases, this will come up real easy. In my case, it will, or it did. It did. Okay. But if it does not, go ahead and put your bolt back in. Okay. Screw it down a few threads. Then what you're going to want to do. Drop everything in there. So what you're going to want to do after you get that, you just pull up on this and tap down on the head of that, and it'll separate the two. If that doesn't work, you're going to need to get something underneath here, okay, that pries up on it while you do that same thing, okay? So we already have this removed. Let's go ahead and get it out of our way. Okay, so next we have a series of, let's see here. It's dark and I want to get some light for you guys. Okay, so from here you have a plastic clamp. Just want to pry out on that. Get something bigger. Take that little plastic clamp out. Now you have, it's a 246 Phillips, okay? Go ahead and remove those. What I like to do is I'll lean this up on the other machine. You can tilt it all the way over, but it's going to be a pain to tilt it back once you have everything pulled apart, okay? I'm just going to pull this away from the wall, make sure nothing's holding us up, and tilt. Just like that. Test it out to make sure it's not going to fall back on you, okay? So, now I'll get you guys set up underneath, and we'll see what we have to remove under there. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to be removing is this guy. There's two 5/16 screws on either side. Okay, one here and one there. So we'll remove that, okay? And then we got to remove the motor. We got to remove this, well, you can't see it in the photo, but this, I think it's a resistor, I believe. And then remove your shifter switch and your pulley once we get this thing off. So let's go ahead and pull this plastic guy off. All right, so let's go ahead and get this pulley off with a 1/2 inch socket. You just go ahead and pull the belt off. There we go. Save the belt. So you're going to reuse it. You're going to pull this guy off. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and remove these two items. Okay. This one, I have another video on it. It's a shifter switch. That does go bad quite often. What breaks on is this little plastic piece inside. Okay. So to remove it, you have two Phillips and a wire you got to disconnect. Okay. So let's go ahead and get the wire disconnected off of right here. Can you guys see that? Yeah, sure can. So there we go. We'll get this thing removed. Okay. Okay, so there's a Phillips right here. Now all of these parts are going to go back on the new one. So obviously you want to save them. What we are removing is this guy right here, this big chunk of metal. Okay. So obviously, try not to drop these parts because you're going to need them, or you'll be sourcing them out again. Okay, so this piece is locked on with a couple of pins. You can see right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you just got to twist it off. Sometimes you got to give it a good tap. Yeah, it looks like we got to tap it. Let me get this. Pull all that off. Remember to save all this stuff, okay? This goes with the transmission, but you're gonna save this stuff, okay? So next, we're gonna be removing this guy. which is, there's a plastic piece on this side you got to pull out of a hole, and then there's electrical on the back of it. Okay, you want to make sure you remove that guy. And remove this little clip here. Okay, so electrical is almost all removed. You got another electrical wire here. Okay, and then the motor connection. Okay, now if you guys can't remember where it goes, that's fine. You can take a picture of it or just look back on this video. Okay, so this piece is actually snapped in. I forgot which direction it goes. All right, so next, guys, we're going to remove this motor, okay? There's two 1/2-inch bolts, one on either side. All right, so now that we got to that point, there are 4 bolts, 2 on this side and 2 on this side. They're 10 millimeters. I'm not sure why they did that, but they switched them to 10 millimeters. So we're going to go ahead and remove those guys. Got these long bolts. All right, guys, so now that I got the new transmission, let's go ahead and slide this thing up underneath. Okay. All right, guys, so in order to put this back in, you're going to be doing the reverse, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put this transmission up in here, put those 4 bolts back on first. All right, so next we're gonna put this guy on, okay? It's fairly simple. There's 2 that are actually closer together, and there's 2 holes that are closer together up here, okay? So you wanna line all those up, make sure you get the spring over. Okay, boom, and then you twist. Okay, now you can take, where'd my flathead go? You can take a flathead and just give it a few taps to lock it in these grooves right here, okay? Just a few. Okay. So that's your shifter, see that? Okay, that's what tells the motor to turn on, the motor to turn off, and things, you know, start agitating. Make sure the electrical connection's pointed towards the front. Okay, so you don't want to bury it, because then, sorry, it was upside down. You don't want to bury it, because then you won't be able to hook it up. So make sure this is out front. Okay. One of these in that square corner and just twist 90. It's done. Okay. Next, we are going to put this shifter switch on. Okay. Now, you want to make sure this lines up with this hole here, and you got a couple screws that you're going to line up into, and obviously this needs to be in there. You don't want to try to mount it like that, because then it won't be shifting. Want to make sure your shifter switch lines up with the part correctly. All right, now's a good time to put this pulley on. Okay, there's two directions you can put it on. You want to make sure this thing is pointed up, because if you do it the opposite way, these gears will not line up with those gears, okay? So let's go ahead and just make sure you get on to all those grooves, okay? That one you want snug. It's even a good idea, if you're having problems with that thing always coming off, put a little Loctite on there, okay? I'm not going to go and do that this time because I know it's good and snug. So now we got that. We can put this belt. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and get this belt on. Okay, there it is. Just a few more times, just so it centers. Okay. All right, so let's get all this electrical hooked up, guys. Okay. Obviously, you got the motor over here. Make sure you line the correct size up. You have a square, half round, square, square. It will not go in any other direction. Trust me. Put those little plugs in. Okay. Pretty much the harness falls where it needs to go. There's almost no guesswork to it, guys. Look at that. We're in there. Now this guy here, just like that, and just like that. Okay. Last but not least, put this cover back on. Trust me, guys, you're gonna want it. You run a heavy load, you don't want this thing touching the ground. You'd rather have this thing touching the ground. Okay? So let's go ahead and get that guy back on. Okay, so now we got the bottom done. Let's get back up top and get this stuff back on up there. All right, guys, so now we're back up top. So we can get all the supplies we need for that. And put this plastic piece back on, okay? Remember those holes there. Gotta put that plastic piece back in, okay? But before you put it in, you gotta put those screws in because this thing is covering one of those screws, okay? So let's get this thing in. Lined up there. Want to make sure you line up those holes. There we go. All right, so now that those are started, I'll finish them out with these this gun. We're going to go ahead and just put this plastic piece back in. Love the hammer, right? All right. Now that that's all the way in, it's time to put this guy back in. No, it's not that easy, guys. Still got to put that bolt in. Drop it in the middle there, get it started. Run this thing down nice and tight. Plastic cover back on. This job's done, guys. That easy. Alright guys, thanks for checking out another DIY Friday from Off Access Builds. I got that part in there for about a half an hour of my time. I just looked online, it's 220 bucks on Amazon. I'll have a link down below. Click that link, you can help me out and I'll help you out. So 225 bucks. I think it's worth it over paying another 400, 500, 600 bucks for another unit. It's up to you guys. Remember to always like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell for upcoming notifications. And remember, it's always built, not bought. See you on the next one, guys.